everyone, and welcome to Beyond the Veil. I'm Steve, joined by my friends
Manny,
Juan.
All right, and tonight we're continuing our talk about the Introduction to the Spirits book. We're going over the 33 fundamentals of Spiritism. In this book, it's called Explanatory Notes under item number 6. In my version of the book I have at home, it's just called the Introduction. It's still under item number 6. And this week we're on the 4th point. So Manny was going to read us our topic for tonight. Let's go.
all right. The spirit world is the normal, original, eternal world. It is pre-existent to and survives everything else.
Okay.
Any interesting thoughts about that?
I have lots of thoughts.
Well, the first one comes to mind is, what are we doing here then?
Well, that might be next. That might be next week.
It's the first one that came to mind.
Well,
I don't know if we have an answer for that.
without a Zion, what would be the purpose of the Matrix?
Okay, Agent Smith.
Okay. So we are in the Matrix.
We're in the Matrix,
Okay.
right? And I mean, come on, like that movie, The Matrix, inspired like so many people because it showed things in a certain light that we couldn't actually even. There was no way to really describe certain things before. When the Matrix came out with all the effects and all of the things, like it suddenly put like a visual to something that we all sort of knew in our spirits for so long, that we're all sort of stuck in this, like almost like an illusion. Really, we're in this illusion that we can't see and we can't feel. Like it's like they say, you think that's air you're breathing,
Right. But you feel safe there.
Oh yeah,
You know, it's a comfort zone. You know.
just like the guy that was like, just please put me back in the Matrix. I'll do whatever
Right.
you want. Just put me back in. Like
Yeah.
it was comfortable there. Yeah.
Yeah, and not to get stuck on the Matrix, but like it also goes over how people, you know, it's so hard to break them free from that. Like just to show them, like, you know, beyond the veil a little bit, behind the veil. You know, they don't want to see that. It's just too much for them. Like, you know, they're happy in their space and they don't want to know what else is there, because that implies responsibility of knowing your future and knowing what else is there.
So why would it be important to know about this pre-existent world?
Because many of
While
us,
we're in the Matrix.
yeah, many of us are so focused on like winning at life, right? Like getting the house, getting the car, the trophy wife, the trophy husband, you know, getting a better car, you know, keeping up with the Joneses, you know, like trying to prove our success, and even in the spiritual community, you see a lot of people like life coaches and things coming out, and they'll put their videos on YouTube. But in the video, they'll make sure to show that, like, oh, I have a house on the beach. Like, it's not about the house, right? J.P. Sears was making fun of this because he's like, he did a video. He's like in front of a house on the beach. He's like, see, it's not about the house on the beach, but it is about the house on the beach. That's what we really care about. And especially like in the spiritual community, the spiritualists are always talking about abundance, right? And being abundant, you know? And it's like, it's really like another mask. Like we can use spirituality even in ways that promote materialism. So even sometimes we try to break free of the Matrix and we try to have like, practice the law of attraction and emanate good vibes. We're still like just trying to make more money. You know, how many times?
Yeah, something really puts me off about those like spiritual speakers who they're always talking about the law of attraction. They're talking about abundance, and they're always saying, "Oh yeah, you know, if you want more money, just ask for it. If you want, you know, more something, just ask for it.
Manifest it.
It's like manifest it. Like something just really and like they're charging like all this money for you just to come listen to them. It's like,
Well, they did ask for it, right?
I mean, they did, but it's like, you know, I mean, it's like so selfish, you know, like just ask for what you want, ask for more stuff, and then, you know, you'll get it if you put that thought out there.
And I'm like, why don't more people switch to Spiritism? Because our message is like, a lifetime of suffering awaits you. You know, here.
Well, it's up to you, man. It's up to you.
It's a lifetime of experiences, one after the other, right? That.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of experience.
It's hard to break old habits, even in this lifetime.
They say good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from bad judgment. I have a lot of experience.
So how do we experience talking about experience, how do we experience this other world, this spiritual world?
I mean, I always would say like my first sort of glimpse of it was through meditation. When there was a time, back when I had more time to practice meditation, I wasn't working, so I was meditating like all the time, and I like just got deep enough in the meditation to the point where it's like, okay, I didn't know about spirituality like so much, or spiritism. I didn't really know about the spirit, but I got to a point where it was like the physical sensations kind of like left. It was a weird feeling I got where it felt like as if I was like falling, but not like I wasn't scared or anything. It felt really good, like a good sort of like sensation of like falling or floating. And for me, that was like sort of a glimpse, like that there's something more out there, and this isn't all that there is to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of people have an experience similar to that when they meditate. They say, "Oh, I had this experience," or "I felt this sensation." But so many people try that and they don't feel that. Like I've tried meditating before, and I almost never feel anything close to that. I mean, I do feel, like I guess internal sensations sometimes, but it's not like it's not like okay, there's proof of something else out there. It's like no, I guess it's different. It's different for everyone.
Let go.
Yeah, you must
I looked for a video about like I was like having such a hard time letting go. I said, "How do you let go?"
It's hard.
And I looked on YouTube. I was all over the place, and all they say is like, "You must let go." They have all these videos, but they won't tell you like how to let go. How do you do it? And
yeah.
I still haven't figured it out. I'm still holding on.
Because I guess that's different for everyone. That's what I mean. I don't know if they say that in the videos you watch, but as far as meditation goes, my experience was that it meant something. It started to show something for me. Something started to happen when I took this kind of like boot camp, 10-day intensive, 10-hour a day meditation, and that really made the difference. That really was it was something, and it is not that just it stayed there. It's like opening a door for, I don't know if I would call it sensations, or if I would call it experiencing something that I can't really feel with the common senses. I would probably be closer to what it is. It's experiencing something that I can't touch, I can't really hear, I can't really see, I can't really smell, but I see, it is there somehow. It's around me. I can kind of like travel without moving from my chair to other layers of myself and the world and my previous experiences, maybe things that I have experienced and I didn't even know I experienced, and then through meditation they came out. They started to come out as the experiences that they were, with the teachings, with the feelings, with with everything involved, with the learnings involved. So that, I don't know, to me that's one of the ways. Then I guess I think we talked about this a few weeks back, like be aware of little signals, details, things that don't really have an explanation, but that mean something, and that mean that there's more to life than we can see.
And it's good, since we're talking about meditation, a lot of meditation is focused on mindfulness. Mm-hmm. So when you meditate and you practice mindfulness, you start to become more aware of things, and you start to notice things that you never saw before. Especially, like in meditation, they talk about cultivating a beginner's mind. Mm-hmm. Not that we're ever going to get advanced. We're never going to advance. We always want to look at everything as if we're looking at it for the first time. Because if you become too advanced, you say like, oh, I know this already. I already know. Like, I already know what's in this book. I've already read this introduction before. Yeah,
it kind of feeds your ego in a different way, like in a spiritual way, spiritual ego.
So I like to, we try to like just like take a second, like forget everything for a while. Like intellectuality is important, but also like looking at things through fresh eyes is a great practice, and you get that mindfulness, and then it's like, okay, like I'm starting to notice things. I'm noticing trends. I'm noticing like when I have thoughts about things, other people are having those thoughts too. It's like almost like radio waves. You know, before I even like found out about Spiritism and you know, actually like was reading about that as a fact, you know, I just had this sense that like, okay, like we're emanating like energies through our thoughts, you know, and
but that's not just meditation, and that's actually living it in your life, right? Because I mean, you can meditate and experience certain things, but which I haven't really had a lot of experience with. Of course, they say, you know, practice, you know, makes it easier. You have to try to do it. But for me, there have been a couple of times in my life where, and this is very, very few times, where I consciously put an effort to be, you know, present in the situation and mindful of what was around me. And you could really tell a difference in your interactions with people and the way that you were doing things. I mean, there were a couple of times at work at different jobs where like there was just like these really special days, like, you know, like you were saying, like people on the same wavelength with people, like really connecting with them, like, you know, somebody needed something, you're like, oh, I know exactly where that is, or this, and it was just a very I wouldn't say a strange feeling, but it was definitely a not a common not a common occurrence.
Is that something you would like to experience more?
Yeah, and it you know, it takes a lot of effort, honestly, because you know, your ego gets in the way. Like I can be a very selfish person sometimes. Sometimes I just want to be by myself and my own, you know, my own mind, and it's like I don't have, you know, you're busy at work and sometimes you're stressed and you don't want to, you know, you don't have time for you know, all these little interactions with everyone, and it's but when you actually make an effort and try to be conscious, you can tell a difference if you're really paying attention and
I get
doing it.
the same way with, like, when I'm walking into the Spiritism Center. A lot of times I'm carrying like bags with cameras and tripods and stuff, and it's like, and people want to stop me and like talk to me. I'm like, can't you see I'm busy? Like, come on, you know, and, like I'm holding all this stuff. You know, it's like, it takes me, like, I have to make a lot of effort, like get out of my own way, like, because, you know, you just never know, like sometimes you might never see somebody again, or you never know like how that might actually affect somebody else, like just to think like, you know, they might think it's something that they did or whatever, and I'm just like, no, I'm just in my head too much, you know. But
yeah.
and like you were saying, like about your ego, like I was thinking the same thing, get out of our own way. Like, how much work do we have to do to get out of our own way? You know, and you almost said it like verbatim as I was thinking it too. So, like, we're talking about it and it's happening right here.
Yeah,
it's scary.
yeah.
How do we prepare for that? How do we train that?
Well, and it's like you said, every mind is different. So what works for me might not work for Manny, or, you know, vice versa. So everybody has to find their own thing. And I like finding things. So I've tried a lot of different stuff. You know, I've tried like Tai Chi, and that worked great for me. And then that sort of led into the more like traditional type of meditation from the Eastern cultures that I kind of picked up. But I've also done things like outside of the box, for me, outside of the box, you know, for other people, like running. Mm-hmm. I started running, and I would find that when I would go running, you know, like what's your mind doing while you're running? Left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, don't fall, left foot, right foot. It's like, it's very like, you know, there's not a lot to think about, but if you concentrate on the running, and it can turn into a meditation. And a lot of times I'd be out running, which I haven't done in a while, you can probably tell. I'm trying to get back into it. But I'd be out running and my mind would get cleared, and I'd start having like all these ideas. Like, as soon as I get back, I need to like write this down. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I forget them before I get home. But like solutions to problems or ideas for videos I'm working on, or like something to try, or even things with like relationships. Oh, you should try saying this, or try, you know, right? Like different, just things pop up. Just like when I'd be in sitting meditation, you're trying to clear your mind. You're trying like just to focus on the breathing, but all of a sudden, like all these like answers and solutions would be popping in my head. And I'm like, I really want to write this down, but I also really want to let go.
You're talking about intuition. It's kind of like you're focusing on one thing, your mind's kind of clear, and then all of a sudden, all of these thoughts and ideas from maybe the spiritual realm, you're getting intuition that way.
Allow the space for that to happen. Like, not carry so many things, not physically.
Your crew,
not material things.
Your crew's talking to you. They're trying to get through. You just got to get out of your own way.
A big entourage,
Yeah.
Actors, directors, producers,
Yeah,
they're all here.
There's a lot of static.
There's a lot of static upstairs.
Mm-hmm.
It is different for everyone, of course, but since we're trying to share with the audience our experience, I'll tell you what has worked really good for me. And it's something, it just happened, it just developed, and then at some point I realized, hey, this is really good. And it's very simple. It's walking in circles. Yeah, I know, it's weird. So you said outside,
it's super weird.
Outside of the box, this is like, there's no box, but there's a space, or maybe a block, or maybe a small garden, or whatever it is. And then I walk in circles.
But a lot of people actually do that. Like you see that people thinking they're walking in circles.
Stuff.
There's a guy at my job that does it. He walks around the whole place, and we all make fun of him for doing it. But he just walks around the whole place when he's on the phone trying to make a deal.
It works really well, really well.
Like just to jog like ideas and stuff, or clear your head.
Yeah, clear your head, and then some ideas come, and if you do it with someone, like having a deep conversation, the conversation gets enhanced.
Yeah,
by walking in circles. I don't have an explanation. Maybe someone out there can tell us like why this works.
No, but it's interesting because
why.
A lot of times, maybe I'll be talking to someone new, and I'll say, yo, let's go for a walk, because I don't know, instead of being like stuck there, like it kind of feels like, I don't know, like your energy kind of flows better, like your ideas kind of flow better, like the conversation takes a different turn. Instead of you both just being there, talking in like a small space, it kind of I don't know, I guess the change of environment, the change of your energy, it just changes the conversation, changes the ideas. But I mean, yeah, definitely, I can definitely relate to that, absolutely.
But yeah, you could be right as far as taking a walk. Like it could even be something as silly as like the rhythm of your footsteps could be sort of affecting like your thought pattern. Because they always talk about like when people are meditating, the brain waves like changes. They go into like the delta state, I think, or no, theta. I'm sorry, theta state. And sometimes like when we're talking to people, like our brain waves are like going all over the place, which means we're having like a lot of thoughts, but they're not very deep thoughts. But when you're in that meditative state, you're having like fewer thoughts, but they're really deep thoughts.
So that makes sense. There was something that was crossing my mind as you were speaking, and it kind of makes sense because what you're saying, if I understand correctly, is that through some actions, the wavelength of our thoughts changes. Mm-hmm. So, like the frequency, right?
The frequency and the amplitude.
Okay, so what that means is that maybe some of that static or disturbance or quote unquote friends that are trying to influence us from the spirit world, as we change that wavelength or the frequency, they can't access, they can't communicate with us, and we are more free to elevate our thoughts, to experience a different kind of freedom of thought, even not so influenced, not so how to say, not so
like cloudy.
Yeah, cloudy.
They always say agitated. I always say, like, I don't know if that's a word Americans use, but in some of my experience here with like the mediums and stuff, when they're talking to people, they'll just be like, oh, your mind is too agitated. You need to relax, like calm down. And I'll say respira. They'll say like breathe, just breathe. Like to begin with.
Yeah, so it'd be a bit like when you're trying to have a phone conversation and you need to get like in a booth, or because you may be in an open space, and there's a lot of noise, so the other person can really hear what you're saying, and you need to get out of there. But of course, again, we can see the people around us and their chatter and the noise and everything else. And we can't really see it from the spiritual world. But that doesn't mean it is not there.
Right.
So just the fact that by changing some of those things that are not tangible, we can make a difference, it means that there's something there. We don't know what, but
We can see the effect of it. We don't always
see the
know
effect.
the cause.
so if we see the effect, there must be a cause.
You know, because people are always saying like, try this. I can't tell you why it works, but try it because I know from my experience, you know, just different things when people are like giving suggestions like that. You know, I can't explain like why this works, but try it. You know,
Yeah. And,
move a muscle, change a thought.
yeah, and some people, for some reason, some people are so against that. It's like, you know, they're like, oh, meditation, you know, no, I don't want to try that. And it's like, to them, it's like, you know, it goes against everything they know, and they don't want to do it. Like for me, I laugh, but I've experimented with my diet, and you can compare that too. And it's like, well, people are, you know, when you tell people, oh, I'm limiting eating certain foods, or like gluten is a big one. You know, you don't necessarily have to be allergic to it, but maybe you're sensitive to it. So I've experimented many times taking it out of my diet and putting it back in, and I've noticed a difference that my body usually feels better when I'm not eating a lot of gluten. And then people, you know, I tell it to people, and they're like, oh, you know, you're crazy. It's like, you know, I would never do that. It's, you know, it's you know, it's stupid. But I mean, it's like, just try it. Like, you know, like you said, like, just try it. Like, why are you so against it? Like, why don't you just try it? Like, and like, oh, well, because it's too hard. You know, how do you eliminate bread and you know, from your diet? It's really difficult. But I mean, you know, you have to try different things. I mean, I'll try a lot of different things. Doesn't mean I believe in them, but maybe you become a believer once you actually do it. And meditation for me is one of those things. Like, I haven't really done it a lot in my own personal life, but maybe if I actually sat down and put a lot of effort into it and got better at it, maybe it would, you know,
There's
be
an
part of my daily
old
life.
Chinese proverb that says everyone should meditate for 30 minutes a day. Unless you're too busy, then an hour.
I like that one.
I've eaten a lot of fortune cookies in my life.
I'm gonna adopt that one.
But yeah, I mean, and this really, it's funny because we kind of straight off topic, not really, but kind of like talking about the spirit world being like the normal, original, eternal world. Because I mean, what we're really talking about, I mean, we're really not off topic. You know, we've just kind of gone on a tangent. But we're really talking about how like we're in this material world, but we know that the spiritual world is a primary world and this material world is a secondary world. So being spiritist, like, not even, you don't have to be a spiritist even, just being a spiritualist or whatever you want to be, you know, just knowing that there's more out there than what meets the eye. And we can use that to our advantage in many ways, you know, like just like what we're talking about, like just understanding. And you don't really even have to like be a spiritist to like get the effects and benefits of meditation or or mindfulness or anything.
Absolutely.
Or having a good diet. I mean, that's something like my spiritual journey actually started because of an acupuncturist. I was seeing an acupuncturist, and she was helping me because, you know, at that time it had been a couple of years since I had finished doing like chemotherapy and stuff. And she just told me like, look, your meridians are all like almost like dead, kind of, you know, so to speak. And she was like, really need to like get these like kidneys up and working again, you know? And so she started doing things. And at that time I had like the worst diet. And you know, I don't want to tell you like all the other extracurricular activities I was doing as well, but you know, I also had a terrible diet, and I didn't want to hear like anything she said, because she would do the acupuncture, like, you know, maybe like 30 minutes on the front, 30 minutes on the back or whatever. And I didn't believe her, but then she would like pull the needles out and I'd start bleeding, and she'd be like, you've been eating like too much red meat, you know, or she'd be like, you've been drinking like sodas again, you know. And she would tell me like, she's like, you know, not that red meat is the devil, it's not bad, but for your body, like you need to eat more like white meats if you're gonna eat meat, you know. She was like, stay away from frozen food, things with preservatives. If you have to drink soda, she's like, drink the clear ones. Don't drink the ones like the colored ones that have the dyes in them. So you know, and I didn't believe her. I was like, oh, she's just like, she reads all those magazines and she's just, you know, but she would know, like she would pull the needle out. She'd be like, you've been eating red meat again. So I switched to chicken for a week. And then when she pulled the needle out, she'd be like, oh, you're doing better, you know? And then, but she knew like, oh, you're drinking Coca-Cola. So I switched to Sprite, you know, and then she's like, oh, you know, like a week later, I was like, it's working somehow, you know, and I started to actually feel my body and like feel the difference with things I was eating. And then I started to notice like certain foods I would eat, you know, like in my family, we happen to eat a lot of, you know, I'll just say it, like, I come from a long line of hot dog eaters. I would notice that, like, if I would eat, like, some of these foods, because, you know, like, they just mix it up from, like, the worst part of the animal. Mm-hmm. I would eat it, and I would go into a coma afterwards. Like, I would fall asleep, you know, I'd take, a long nap. And I would be like, oh, what is that? And it took me, like, years to even notice, like, oh, you know, when I eat certain foods that really, I pretty much know by now aren't good for me, like, they make me tired, you know? Yeah. So I mean, there's something to it. Like I was a non-believer in that. And that's why I say that sort of started my spiritual journey, because after that experience, I became more open-minded to things. I'm like, you know, because I didn't want to listen to what she said, but I noticed that, like, she was right. So I was like, I couldn't deny it after that. I'm like...
And whenever we are open to those kind of signals, they come to us, they arrive, and you know, they're there for us. Yeah. Whenever we start opening up.
Yeah, for some reason, people like I was saying before, they just don't want to. Like they're like, well, I want to eat the red meat. I want to eat meat every day. You know, I want to drink my soda. It's like, you know, I can't. I have friends who are like, I can't give up Coke. There's no way I can give up Coca-Cola. It's like it's too good. I'm like, well, I mean, okay, you know, if you can't give it up, you can't give it up. I mean, it's you.
The doctors told my coworker, who's put on like 30 pounds since in the last couple of years, they told him to stop drinking Dr. Pepper. He was on a serious like Dr. Pepper diet. Not that Dr. Pepper is bad, but when you drink it like every day, all day, and you don't drink water, like it will have negative effects. They told him to stop drinking Dr. Pepper, so now he drinks Pepsi's Max Zero or something like that. It's like, okay, like I don't think you got the message, you know.
Pepsi Max Zero squared.
Yeah, whatever that stuff is. And then he's like, okay, like you're not really doing it right. Like water is pretty good, you know.
We're not made of Dr. Pepper.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he is.
Yeah, and they say, oh, well, the main ingredient is water.
Yeah. Mostly.
Yeah. Mostly, yeah.
If you can pour it on your car battery and it cleans the corrosion off, then like it's probably not that good inside your stomach, you know.
Okay, so this has been a really good discussion tonight about what we see, what we can't see, how the things that we can't see do affect us, and how can we really see that those things affect us, other than Dr. Pepper, of course. So with that, we'll just say till the next program, till the next emission of Beyond the Veil. Thank you very much, Manny.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve.
No problem.
This is Juan, so we'll see you the next time on Beyond the Veil.
You know, there's something to be said about brevity.
There is.
No, there's not much.
There's not much to say about it.
That's funny. There's not much to say about brevity.
It's already been said. Really.